Annual sales meetings. Everybody has them. You know, they're so common, we call them SKOs, sales kickoff meetings. Well, they serve a purpose. They do. But sales training is definitely not one of them. Let's figure out how we can put out this sales dumpster fire. This is Sales Untraining, a very different kind of sales podcast. 3 out of 4 salespeople are failing. They're falling short of their revenue. Why doesn't sales training work? That's what this sales podcast is about. It's your weekly sales strategy guide designed to rewire your sales brain. Hello and welcome to Sales Untraining. Great to have you alongside. I'm Kelly Riggs, your host, and I hope you'll take just a moment, like and subscribe the podcast, share it with someone who needs to be in the conversation about how do we improve the process of predictably and consistently creating successful salespeople. And why the podcast? Because what we do is broken, and it's certainly not any more broken than the topic this week. It's the annual sales meeting, the sales kickoff meeting, which is, my friends, a sales dumpster fire. There is absolutely no doubt about that. At least that's my experience, and I've been a part of a lot of them as a participant, as a planner, as someone who joins as a speaker or a presenter or a contributor, someone who's helped companies organize these. I've looked at it from a variety of perspectives. And there's just a lot of problems with sales kickoff meetings. And to think that we are really accomplishing anything in the way of sales training is by and large just a joke. I mean, seriously, I'm not trying to be controversial or provide clickbait. I mean, it's just my experience, because the sales training is not thought out, it's not considered, it's not planned, it's sort of reactive by nature, and typically it sounds like this. We've got to do some product updates. We've got to provide some technical support and improve our product knowledge in 2 or 3 different areas. We need to bring in a motivational speaker or a sales kickoff speaker, someone who can really ignite our sales team and get them fired up. And yes, as an aside, I do these, so yes, I get it. That's what you're trying to do. But the real question is, how effective are they? When it comes to improving the performance of your sales team. Now, full caveat, if you're having a sales kickoff meeting, an annual sales meeting that is not supposed to do any of that, you don't look at it as sales training, you don't look at it as anything that we do to improve performance. It's all about recognition, motivation, building closer relationships between the team. Fantastic. Good for you. I have absolutely no objection. Now, I do think you're missing a great opportunity for sales training and development and performance improvement. But if you don't look at it that way, I mean, that's absolutely fine. But if you do feel like that sales kickoff meeting is an integral part, sometimes the only part of ongoing sales training, not including new salesperson onboarding and training, but ongoing training, then I think perhaps maybe you're kidding yourself. Now, clearly, that doesn't make me popular when I say that, but the reality is you're spending a tremendous amount of money to bring your entire sales team together. So the things that you're doing, motivation, recognition, camaraderie, relationships, building team chemistry, all of those things, and having a fantastic awards banquet or dinner or something of that nature, and truly recognizing people for what they've done the past year, fantastic. But you've got them all together. And there are a lot of things that we can do to move performance, to drive performance. Now, almost without exception, man, I would almost say without exception, somebody is going to be that one. But without exception, when you bring a team together and spend that much money, we need to do some training. We call it sales training, but the reality is it's almost always product training. More of the same. More of the big dumpster fire that we think product training is sales training when it's not. In fact, unwittingly, we're creating failure for our salespeople because we're teaching them that what you do as a salesperson is go out and talk about your product and tell everything you know about your product. So here we are in the SKO, reinforcing the whole thing. How do we do that? Well, we emphasize new product training or product revision updates or technical training for behind the scenes so we get more in-depth insights and knowledge about the products. Do we need those things? Absolutely. But the point is that if we don't put it in context and we don't help people understand how to use it and how to make it effective, then all we're doing is reinforcing that when you go out in the field, go talk about your products. And that, my friends, is a problem. It's a serious problem that we've explored in great detail in other podcast episodes. So how do we avoid that? You see, there are a number of problems that we have to deal with in terms of making these effective. And the problems is that typically the way we organize and plan and develop content tends to be pretty haphazard. Now, that's my experience. Not everybody is like that. I get it. But typically it's, hey, we need to get the team together, or we're going to get the team together. And here it is already May or June. We've got to get on this. What's the focus? Logistics, airfare, hotel room, conference room, AV, getting new products up to speed quickly and marketing updates done so we have all these things to present. We're not really creating a sophisticated plan to grow and develop salespeople during this meeting. Many times, the substitute is to bring in a speaker. Yes, of which I am one of those people that routinely get called in to say, hey, we're going to have the team together. We want you to come in and get them fired up. And I go, well, is that the objective? Is to get them fired up? Well, if they can find one thing they can take away that can really, matter and help them improve, that'd be fantastic. And what I realize is that you've not really put a lot of thought into this. You don't have a plan for what we should do before, what we should do after, how we're going to reinforce those learning points. We don't even know what those learning points are. And so it becomes a haphazard sort of ad hoc kind of meeting that we put together. There's no plan behind it. And we rarely provide very clear communication and the why behind what we're doing, where we're going, what we're trying to accomplish, what success looks like coming out of the meeting. There's just a lot of problems. But what we do, especially sales leaders, is we kind of pat ourselves on the back and say, hey, I crammed a lot of content into these 3 days, 4 days. And if we're going to spend that much money, then we certainly want to get the most bang for our buck. So we'll bring in somebody to do a 90-minute keynote and really get people fired up. And then we'll start talking to them about our new products and our new marketing initiative. Then we'll roll out the new comp plan, all those kinds of things. As though that new comp plan is going to be really exciting. That's a whole nother issue. On top of that, let me ask you, do you often use that as an opportunity for each of your salespeople to present their quote unquote plan, their sales plan for the year? And if you do, well, that's really a waste of time too, in my experience, because it's almost never a plan. What it is a pre-formatted set of slides that I fill out the numbers that I think I'm going to do and, what's going on. Numbers, budgets, to-do lists, those are not plans. That's not a sales plan. All you're doing is giving me information. Quite frankly, if you have any sort of competent CRM maintenance, you pull it right off of CRM. You already know all of this stuff. But Kelly, we want them to present it to us and, to tell us how they feel about it and how they think they're going to do and what they think they're capable of this year. Well, that's just an exercise in futility. If it's not backed up by a real, specific, detailed, comprehensive plan, it's just words. Now, I really sound like a killjoy, don't I? Hey, buzzkill. Welcome to the party. That's not what I'm trying to do. But again, if you're going to spend the kind of money that gets spent on these kinds of meetings, maximizing the impact should be your number one objective. And the idea is if we're going to use these things, certainly there's positives to them. We get the technical support, we get the product updates, we build those relationships, we create recognition and awards. All those things are fantastic. But if they don't understand that just product knowledge alone doesn't drive the sale per se, then we're reinforcing things that are really going to make it more difficult for them in the field. Many times what we're doing is substituting motivation, the keynote speaker or other things, for real sales development, salesperson development. Many times we don't even have any objectives for the learning inside of that meeting. So we're not sending things out and saying, here's what we're going to do, here's what you're going to learn and why, and here's the plan for reinforcing that and supporting it after the sales kickoff meeting. We're not doing that. There's no targeted follow-up. There's no plan for how we make sure that everything they're exposed to that's new information actually gets retained, implemented, and is useful. And certainly, again, all we're doing is reinforcing the whole notion of leading with product. Better that we should at least stop and ask three very important questions. And the first question is the most critical. What are our primary objectives for this sales meeting? What outcomes do we want to create? Recognition, awards, check. Product update, marketing updates, more technical knowledge, check. Getting people together, sharing success stories, whatever, building relationships, letting the inside staff get better acquainted with the outside staff, building camaraderie, check. Sales training, selling skills training, sales development, where is that? If that's the objective, then exactly what are we wanting to learn? How are we going to get there? Who are we going to use? How do we plan for it? How do we make sure that we get intake from the salespeople? How do we reinforce it in the field? If we don't do those things, if we don't have a pre-sales kickoff plan and a post-sales kickoff plan, then basically all we've done is just throw a bunch of stuff at people to be able to say, wow, we really spent a lot of money, but we did a lot of things to justify it. But is that really your objective? Simply to have a lot of activities? A lot of people, a lot of companies will go spend an afternoon playing golf. They'll have planned dinners together. All of those things are fantastic. Please don't get me wrong. But can we please not call it sales training or imply or believe that we're getting sales training and development value out of this sales kickoff simply because we're sharing more product knowledge and bringing in a motivational speaker? Because you're not. Think back on past sales kickoffs. What kind of immediate changes did you see in your sales team that you can trace directly back to that sales kickoff meeting? I'm not suggesting they don't exist at all. I'm just suggesting they're going to be pretty rare, pretty infrequent, pretty inconsistent, and certainly not in keeping with the amount of money that you've spent. Well, coming up next, let's talk about one thing you can do that is going to dramatically improve that annual sales meeting. Stay with me. Hey, thanks for making Sales Untraining your first listen of the week. And if you find something you like, if you hear something that's interesting, I hope you'll share it with somebody you know. You can find out more about me at bizlockerroom.com or email me, kelly@bizlockerroom.com. Now back to the show. If you were starting in sales today, based on what you know about AI today, as a salesperson, where do you think maybe one or two really key places you would utilize it pretty consistently?
Account research, batting around my value proposition and making sure that it is really, it has the customer in mind. It's not a self-serving value proposition. There's a customer outcome in mind. And I would use it for, I'll be coy about this, I would use it for practice.
Welcome back. It's Sales on Training. It's so good to have you. Man, we're way down the road in terms of the number of episodes that we've done. And if you're still with me and you haven't grown weary of the conversation, I really hope that you've taken the time to like and subscribe to the podcast. But again, I say this over and over. I'm looking to get more and more people into the conversation because it's really amazing to me how ineffective we are at predictably and consistently creating effective salespeople. And it is because there are a large number actually, of systemic problems with the way that we train salespeople. One of those is sales dumpster fire number 5, and it is the annual kickoff meeting. If we think that we're actually getting any significant sales training, selling skills training done. Now, if you look at sales training as strictly product training, then you're probably not interested in this conversation. However, I don't believe that product training is selling skills, sales training. I don't. I think it's a part of being a good salesperson. Clearly, you have to be an expert in the product and the applications and the industry that you work in. All of those things, critically important. But as a salesperson, if I believe that product knowledge is what's ultimately going to make sales for me, I'm going to struggle. And I'm never going to hit the big time and be in the top 5% or even 10%. It's not going to happen. So how do you solve that? Well, first off, you have to get a sense of exactly what is selling skills training, what is sales training, and then you have to create a plan to provide that in training, onboarding, and ongoing development of salespeople. But so many companies use the sales kickoff meeting, the annual sales meeting, as a platform for sales training. But it's, again, almost always product-based. I'll never forget when I started many years ago working for an orthopedic company based in Northern California. My first day on the job in California was for training. They brought me out for training. First day on the job, and it was the day before they were doing their annual sales meeting. So I went out, I believe on a Monday, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, but it was the first day I was out there. And I was supposed to get some sales training and, product training, which clearly I needed because I didn't know anything about products at the time. So one of the other regional sales managers took me aside and spent about an hour and a half, showed me one of the product lines. And literally, that's what he did. This is this product, and here's this product, and this is what this product is for, and this is what this product does. There was nothing about selling. It was basically like take a picture and match a real product to it, or and kind of get a little bit behind it. This is for the knee. This is for the ankle. This is for the shoulder, and it was very shallow and rudimentary. But listen, what did I know? I was a kid. I was 25, had no idea, had never been in orthopedics, didn't know what any of these things were. So I was bright-eyed. I was like, wow, okay, I've never seen any of these things. And then it break. And so I was told, well, you're going to go make some sales calls with the national sales manager. And I'm like, wow, fantastic. This should be great. So national sales manager got me. We jumped in the car. We drove a half an hour to a hospital, went into a hospital, which, by the way, as an aside, hospitals were not our primary targets by any stretch of the imagination. It was directly the orthopedic surgeon. It was the orthopedic clinic, many times rehab clinics. And, certainly we sold into hospitals, but they were a minor player for our products. But we went to a hospital, and we went to the operating room and saw the OR nurse, and she handed us an order, and out we went to the car. That was us making a sales call. I just have to laugh when I think about it now. To be fair, they were in the middle of preparing for the annual sales meeting. So, it was like, okay, we got to do something with this guy. He's brand new. He just started. And that, my friends, was my sales training. That was it. The rest of the day I spent getting ready for the annual sales meeting. I became a laborer that was helping them move things over to the hotel and to the conference room. I'll never forget unloading cases of beer to take up to one of the rooms to put in a bathtub full of ice so we would have beer for the the meeting or whatever. It was pretty comical at the time. And now it's just, it's a lot of other words I could use to describe how I think about it now. But I realize that so many times, again, we're just so haphazard about these things. Now, inside of the sales meeting, the annual sales meeting, they brought in a couple of doctors and a biophysicist or a biomechanics guy, I forget, whatever it was. And I learned some really good stuff. I got some background. Those things are critical, man, and I soak it up. I had notes upon notes and went back and actually picked up some really good technical information that would not be helpful for me to sell anybody anything at that point because I didn't know anything about the products. And so you can imagine what my ramp up time looked like and how long it took me to even remotely to be capable of making sales calls. Well, Kelly, your regional sales manager, that was his job. Well, one would think, except that my regional sales manager was 6 hours away. And, I saw him a couple of times. And his problem was not that he wasn't capable of training me. He was actually running a territory as well and responsible for a quota and then was driving down to help me. So he came a couple of times. We made a few calls. His first trip down, he introduced me to most of the major accounts that we were working with. So that was helpful. But my friends, that was it. That was it. And so the sales meeting and the sales training overall was, a solid F, D minus, maybe. Maybe. And that's what I'm afraid that we're up against. So what is the one thing that you can do that would make that sales kickoff meeting infinitely better in terms of sales training and development? I want to give you one idea that you can use and think about the next time you're planning one of these. And as an aside, send me an email, kelly@bizlockerroom.com. And if you'd like to jump on a 15-minute call and just pick my brain and let me give you some more ideas, happy to do that. Take advantage of it. Nope, no selling, not interested. But if you would like to get some ideas from me, happy to do that. But here's one for you, and that is to have a number of your veteran salespeople come to that meeting with a success story from the previous year, an account that they sold, a client they sold, an opportunity they converted, a big problem they solved that led to a sale, whatever it may be. Have them come to the meeting and present that to the team and let there be Q&A around it. Because sometimes what I've learned is some of the best learning and development comes from other salespeople sharing their experiences in the field and saying, wait, how did you do that? And how did you pick that product versus this one? And how did you get to the decision maker? And what was the big challenge? And how did you figure that out? They get all kinds of great information if you'll just let them ask questions. You can create a standardized format for that. Name of the account. You don't want people sharing the details, the names of the account. Make that clear. I can still share the story without telling who the client is, without using any names. Names were protected or not used to protect the innocent or to protect their confidentiality in this case. So that's not a problem. But you can set it up. What product was sold? Why did you win? Or maybe in some cases, maybe they share a story of something they lost and there's a big lesson to learn inside of it. Many times some of the best learning we do is the mistakes we make along the way. But by bringing a half a dozen of those stories and maybe taking 3 or 4 hours to share those and to have that interaction between salespeople, moderated by a couple of sales managers or sales leaders, you can get a tremendous amount of knowledge and wisdom and understanding out to your sales force. And on top of all of that, they go back to their territories, to their places where they work, with a half a dozen success stories in their belt. And especially for new salespeople, these are invaluable because to my clients or prospects, I am the company. I'm the salesperson. I'm the company. And it may not be my story, but I can say, we have a client in a specific location and here's what happened and here's how that worked. Those stories become incredible tools for communicating and sharing with potential customers. Really, really valuable. Builds knowledge, builds wisdom, builds camaraderie, and allows your people to really begin to understand what other people are going through and to be able to share in that experience. Hey, I hope that helps. I hope you'll use it. And let me know if I can share some time with you for some more ideas. I'll see you next time.
Sales on Training is a production of Business Locker Room and Pod About It Productions. Music and editing by Doug Branson. To get more Kelly, visit bizlockerroom.com.